Well, good morning, everybody. It was Monday the 10th of September. No, that's not right. It'll be Monday the 9th of September when I made this video. And so, as you can see by the title, this is a video involving two cameras. Now, in the first part of the video, I was heading down to the place where I start my morning run, and I was intending to, or I did, run what I called the bridge to bridge and back. I had expected to take part in a running event in Brisbane, but circumstances beyond my control meant that I had to stay in Goulburn and couldn't do that. So I did my own, not bridge to Brisbane run, but bridge to bridge run. So in the first part of this run, I'm just riding my Spyder down to the place where I'm going to start my run. And so just be familiar with the territory and be familiar with the scenery, I guess, from watching other videos of this sort, where I am going down to a place called Rydin Weir, which is also the starting point for the park run. So I'll let the scenery unfold without too much commentary from me. This is the urban area around one of the big school districts in Goulburn. So the high school was on the right at that roundabout, and then there is the Crescent School, which is a school for specific purposes, and beyond that is Wallandilly School, Wallandilly Public School, which is a K-6 public primary school. It's a very short drive. It's about 2.2 kilometres from my house to this Rydin Weir. And on a Saturday when I'm running, I often just run down there. But today, because I wanted to do a much longer run, but also get some motorcycle footage in, I decided to ride down there, do my run, and then do the rest of this video. So I'm just going to be turning into the parking area for Rydin Weir, and then almost immediately it seems as if I'm pulling out again. But in the meantime, of course, I've done the 12k bridge to bridge run that I intended to do, and you'd find that video on my channel in the running section as the bridge to bridge run. Now, I've called this video Rydin the Spyder using two cameras, because you can see in this section of the video that there's a camera on the left hand wing mirror. The little black object that's on the left wing mirror is a camera that I would use normally, and it's the one that you would see the vision from in the first part of this clip. But now I'm using the chest harness camera, or I was using the chest harness camera, just switched back to the wing mirror camera, but I was using the chest harness camera, which is the DJI Action 2 camera that I generally use when I'm making running videos. And I thought I would use that this time because I thought it would give you a slightly different view of what's going on the motorcycle when I'm running. Unfortunately, the view didn't turn out to be quite as interesting as I thought it would be. So I edited out most of it. Basically, you could just see me sitting at see the controls in my hands while I sit on the motorcycle. I had hoped you would see the dials and gauges in a bit more detail, and I'd be able to point out various things that were happening as I was riding. You might have seen as I was heading off in the second clip there, where there's a quick change to the chest harness camera, see me using my left hand thumb. Pretty poor when you don't know your right from your left, isn't it? But I was using my left hand thumb, or my thumb on my left hand, to thumb the transmission changes. The Spyder being a semi-automatic, you just use your thumb to change up. It's not necessary apparently to close off the throttle, but I do out of habit from days of riding two-wheel motorcycles that are manual. Of course, I don't need to do that when I'm riding my Suzuki Goulburn because it's a CVT, which just does it all by itself. But I am in the habit of closing off the throttle as if you would be pulling in the clutch and so on from riding the Kawasaki two-wheel motorcycle, so I continue to do that. You don't need to change down manually because as you close the throttle off, and especially if you put your foot on the brake, the bike's computer system senses that you are slowing down and it automatically changes down and rev matches for you. Now you can see it's a pretty fine day here. The sun's out. It's probably about 7 o'clock, maybe a little later. I started my run quite early, so it's probably closer to 7:30 by now. But the sun is out and the sky is blue, and it was quite sunny by this. I wouldn't say it was balmy, but it was quite sunny, and it turned out to be quite a pleasant day. So we're coming back into motorcycle riding time, although I know there will be people who ride their motorcycles all year. I think lots of us just put them away for the winter, especially around here in Goulburn, because it's not good riding weather. It's very cold, but also can be very windy. And even with a bike like this, that's quite heavy, because it has a big footprint and a big profile, side winds can give it a bit of a buffeting. So I think a lot of motorcycles are put away over the winter period, but as we're coming into spring now, motorcycles will be out and about, and you would be riding in your car along the highways, and you've no doubt seen those illuminated signs now that tell you to watch out for motorcycles or look twice for motorcycles or something like that. And again, it's not that motorcyclists are asking you for special treatment. They're just saying they are a more vulnerable user of the road simply by the nature of the vehicle that they're choosing to ride or drive, and therefore they're just asking for you to, as a driver in a car, to look out for them, check your mirrors twice before you make any lane changes or any other changes in your directions or whatever, in case there is a motorcyclist coming up in the lane either side of you. Signal early so that if there is a motorcyclist behind you or in the lane beside you, they know that you're about to make a change and they can adjust their speed and so forth accordingly. Brake as early as you feel necessary and brake as gently as possible. Obviously there are going to be those times when you can't avoid sudden emergency brakes, but in most circumstances, if you can avoid them, try to do so and brake gently and easily so that the motorcyclist isn't forced to slam on the brakes. Now, many new motorcycles and modern motorcycles have ABS, and some of them even have EFT and EBD and all that sort of stuff to do with braking, but they don't all have. And you can just see now again that I'm on the chest harness camera. You can see the dashboard in this section of the video, and the camera that I normally use mounted on the left wing mirror, and so you're just getting, and so we've changed view again now to the wing mirror camera, and you can see it gives you a much better view of the road and the scenery rather than just looking at the dash. But so getting back to the braking, if a motorcyclist is behind you and is forced to brake quickly and they pull on their front brake, particularly, especially if they pull on the front brake, all the weight of the vehicle is thrown over that front wheel, the forks will dip, and then the bike will stop and it'll fall over. And so it requires a great deal of skill for the rider to keep the bike upright in that sort of situation. Remembering they've got to work the clutch, and they've got to work the brakes, and they've got to work the throttle, and they've got a hand brake for the front and a foot brake for the back. And in most circumstances, they're going to be using the foot brake because it's the more powerful brake. And so, as I said, the simple physics is the weight's going to throw forward. So when you're driving in your car as I said, check your mirrors twice before you make any change of lane or direction. If you're going to make a turn, signal early so that the motorcyclist behind you knows that you're going to make a turn and won't suddenly try to overtake you or come up on the inside of you. And you won't be then forced to take evasive action, and neither will they. If you are aware of traffic ahead of you slowing down, yes, some modern cars these days have adaptive cruise control and they sense that and slow down. And I understand that the tail lights do come on so that the person behind you knows that you are slowing down. But if your vehicle doesn't have that sort of stuff and you are forced to slow down early, as early as you possibly can, and give the rider behind you time to adjust to what you're doing. As I said, the motorcyclist isn't asking for special circumstances or special treatment, but the thing to remember with motorcycling, or with a motorcycle, is that it's not like a push bike. This motorcycle that I'm riding is 450 kilos. It's very stable because it's got two wheels at the front, and as you can see in some of my videos, it's almost as wide as a small hatch, so it's quite stable and so on. But the previous bike I owned, which was a Kawasaki Vulcan Voyager 1700, it weighed nearly 400 kilos and it was only two wheels. And so when I am required to make a sudden stop, I've got to balance the front and rear brakes so that I don't get that sudden transfer of weight all over the handlebars and all over the front wheel in the dip, and then the tendency of the bike to fall sideways. So it's not like a push bike. It just can't stop instantly like that. You've got to work through the gears, you've got to work the clutch, you've got to work the transmission, and you've got to work the brakes as well. So if you are in a situation where you can see the traffic in front of you slowing down, then slow down yourself as early as you possibly can and give the rider behind you an indication that you are slowing down. Now, for riders, there are lots of things that you have to do as well. I'm not trying to suggest to car drivers this is all your responsibility. Motorcyclists have responsibilities as well. And I've talked about this many times before, but it never hurts to mention them again. The first of those responsibilities is to make sure that you can be seen. Wear bright clothing, wear reflective clothing. These tendency of modern bikes to have that blacked out look might look cool, but it's very difficult for motorists to see, especially in the mornings when the sun isn't quite up yet, and some motorists don't have their lights on because they think I can see where I'm going. What's the problem? It's not a question of you seeing where you're going, it's a question of can the other bloke see you as well. But also it's difficult to see you, the motorcyclist, in your blacked out motorcycle with your black helmet and your black jacket just on dusk when the sun hasn't quite gone down, but it's still it's getting dark enough to need headlights, but some headlights aren't on yet and it's sort of shadowy. And if you're coming through shadows like these trees are casting at the moment, and you're in an all black bike or on an all black bike with an all black outfit, it's going to be hard for the motorist to see you. So think about the choice of clothing, and if you insist upon having an all black bike and an all black clothing, then put a reflective vest or put some reflective stripes on or something like that. When you're riding, ride in a position in the lane behind the rider, behind the car, so that the car driver can see you. You've seen those messages on the back of trucks. If you can't see my mirrors, I can't see you. The same applies to car drivers who have all sorts of things in their cars to distract them, and they're not always checking the rear vision mirrors or the wing mirrors. So for the rider, you need to pick your position in the lane, and that's not always the same position. Sometimes you want to be directly in the field of view of where the rear vision mirror would be, the internal rear vision mirror. Sometimes you might want to move to the left of the road, sometimes you might want to move to the right of the road, just to let the driver of the car know that you're still there. If you stay in the same spot all the time, you'll get that homeostasis effect where the driver knows, well, there's a motorcyclist behind me, oh yeah, he's still there, and it's almost like, well, you're just part of the scenery then, and they don't necessarily react to you the way they would if you were constantly or frequently, not all the time, but not weaving around like a lunatic, but frequently changing your position in the lane. some advice that's given is to say, well, ride in the tyre tracks, especially in wet weather, because the car in front of you has already squished the water off the road with their tyres. So if you ride in the tyre tracks, then you're less likely to have a spill because the road is slippery. So, there's a lot happening, and it's motorcycle season coming up. Check your mirrors twice before you make any changes of direction. Motorcyclists, be in a position where you can be seen, be visible, wear appropriate clothing so that you can be seen, and pick a position in the lane where you can be seen. And as always, motorcyclists, ride to the conditions, that is the weather conditions, the road conditions, ride to your own abilities and ride to the ability of your bike. And so if other people you're riding with are riding in a way that you don't feel safe or comfortable, then you're not required to keep up with them. You're required to ride in a way that makes you feel safe and takes you to the level of your competency, but not beyond it. All right, well, thanks for watching and listening. I hope you've enjoyed either the ride or the scenery, and I'm hoping there will be lots more motorcycle videos in the coming months. So please tune in on a regular basis and look for new ones. And if you have any comments, please leave them in the comments when the video is uploaded. And when I become aware of them, I will respond to them. Thank you for watching.